Welcome back to the Comics Code. This is Tony, and today I want to review Avengers vs. X-Men number 11. Little quick announcement before I do this. This issue contains a big spoiler. If you don't know what it is, then please, and you want to find out for yourself, then please do not listen or watch any further, because it's big and yeah. So just know that going forward, if it's spoiled, you asked for it. So let's go ahead and start with the cover. It's by Cheung and Justin Ponsor, and they have done a fantastic job on the artwork with this one. It is a dynamic cover. It's got several layers to it. You've got the main action here with Emma and Cyclops going at it, and then you've also got in the background just about every hero in the Marvel Universe watching as they fight. The action is great. Everyone looks good, even the people in the background. It is leaps and bounds beyond a lot of the artwork I remember seeing at the beginning of this series, and I really like it. It's somewhat indicative of what goes on in the story a little bit, but not too much, actually. I'll explain more of that later. Basically, the plot is that, well, basically that AVX is drawing to a close. Cap and the Avengers are as desperate as ever and are looking for any and every ally they can get their hands on. As of late, they've gotten Charles Xavier to join the game on their side, and they even find another ally in the Hulk, which, you know, imagine that. So, you have Xavier and Cyclops. They're approaching a mortal conflict as they draw lines in the sand, and it results in a fatality. Cyclops kills Xavier, and by the end of the issue becomes the Dark Phoenix. Art-wise, I really like the pencil work by Olivier Coipel, and Mark Morales' inks really do a good job of giving the characters depth and dramatic tones. I'm going to see if I can, yeah, there's a picture of the Hulk and Captain America that just looks really good. And, I don't know, it just, the dark tones make him look even scarier. You've got the one eye that you can't see. The Hulk looks really menacing, and they're asking him to come and join them, which I just thought was really good. So it worked really well. And again, I mean, we've got lots of characters in here, a lot of grand battles that are going on, and it's a wide-ranging fight. And essentially, I mean, everyone just looks really good. Everyone is well drawn. The very few panels that you actually see Hope appear in, she actually looks like a kid. She looks, you know, young. Not that she hasn't in the past, but I mean, it looked especially evident here, and I really have to applaud the art team for their work on that. I also wanted to say that the colors were really good too. Laura Martin's coloring was it's very varied, and the colors are evocative. I particularly like the fire tones that she does for Emma Frost and Scott Summers, the two remaining Phoenixes. It looked really good. I liked it. Speaking of things that I liked, things that I just really enjoyed about this issue included the personal drama between Cyclops and Xavier. You can tell that even though they're locked in a mortal fight with one another, that there's a lot of history between the two, obviously, and that they still care very much for each other. Even after Cyclops kills him, you can see the tears coming down, and as he questions, "Why did you make me do this? You forced my hand. Why couldn't you leave well enough alone?" And you could also see that Xavier was very serious too. I mean, he simply acknowledged when Iceman told him that this is time. He's like, yeah, this is time. So I don't know. It really kind of added to Xavier's death and made it important, and I thought that was good. The action is good. All the battle scenes were good. Again, wide-ranging, got a little confusing in places, but still, I mean, you could see that, there's one illustration in particular that I liked where you have the start of the battle, and, I mean, you just see a whole lot of people there. It looks like, I know the quality's not great here, but you've got Doctor Strange right behind Cyclops trying to mystically tether him or hold him back while Xavier does what he needs to do. You had I think one of my favorite shots actually was this one right here. Basically, Hulk looks like he's about to throw down on Emma Frost. He's standing right behind her, and then just boom, creates an entire crater because she's really powerful and needs to be put down. And so Hulk's doing what needs to be done. So yeah, the action was great. The artwork was great. I've already gone into that. And I think what I like most is that since issue 1 in April, this story really has, it's gotten a lot better than it started out. As you know, I was at a release party for AVX in April. I was really excited about it getting started. And then I read the first issue and I was like, well, it's okay. Obviously there's a conflict going on, this and that, but it wasn't all that compelling at first. I wasn't that thrilled with the artwork. And I would say that the story and the art have definitely improved as we reach the end here. It makes me really excited for the last installment and to see what happens. I mean, Scott as the Dark Phoenix, I have to admit, I'm intrigued. So we'll see what happens. A couple of things I didn't like. I already mentioned that the battle was a little confusing in places. Sometimes it wasn't clear, to me at least, what was happening in a particular panel, who was blasting who. I could have done with a little more clarity, but maybe someone can explain certain panels to me and I'll go, oh, okay, I'm just a dunce. You never know. So, the only other real complaint I have is that Xavier's death seemed it happened a little too quickly. I mean, I know that they were reaching the end of the comic and needed to wrap it up and everything, but when you consider that Xavier has been around for about the last 50 years, he formed the X-Men, he has been depicted as both a saint and a guy who has done some really bad things. He's manipulated his students. He has sent a squadron of them to die to cover his mistakes. I mean, he's not without his faults, but he is a big character in the Marvel Universe. And essentially you have the battle between him and Scott going on. And, I mean, it goes on for, you get to the last parts and you see, you see Cyclops there, Xavier is right here. They're yelling at each other. They start to fight, and then you go to the next page. Big explosion, and then you see Xavier falling. He hits the ground, and then you see Scott standing over him. And it's very clear what's happened, but it just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem an end befitting of a character who has such a history in the Marvel Universe. So, wasn't too thrilled with that. But, within the cusp of the story, I suppose it's a fairly small argument. Overall, again, AVX has gotten a lot better, and I really like it now. I'm interested to see this last chapter. So, Xavier's death, that's a big thing. That's a big event. I know comic book death is not really considered true death because everyone eventually comes back to life. But we'll see if it holds here. I have a feeling it will. And I hope if they're going to kill off a character like Xavier that we don't see him in any meaningful form, I would say for at least a decade or so. I mean, they've basically done that with Jean Grey, and I know she's coming back soon in another form, essentially. But I mean, when they killed her off, that was what, at least 6, 7 years ago? She stayed dead, and I like it. You know, I think that death should have some fairly serious repercussions in comics, and it often is depicted as, we'll bring him back in a few months. Hopefully that won't happen here. I would say that AVX number 11 is worth getting, even if you haven't followed it, if only because it's gotten better. You've got Xavier's death, the artwork is good, the story is good, and, you know, I say go for it. So I hope you've enjoyed this review, and thank you very much. I'll see you around.